The night was cold. The wind moved through the streets like it had teeth. Most humans in the colony were inside their warm homes, eating food, watching old movies, or sleeping under heavy blankets. But Liara was not inside. She was curled up on a concrete doorstep near a closed metal door. Her arms were wrapped around her thin body. Her skin was soft purple, and her long silver hair was tied in a knot behind her neck. Her eyes stayed closed, but she didn't sleep deeply. She never did. Every little sound made her flinch. Footsteps, hovercars, dogs barking. Even her own breathing sometimes felt too loud. She had been sleeping on different doorsteps for many nights now, always outside, always quiet, always gone by morning. Some people saw her. Most looked away. Few threw words like sharp stones. Go back where you came from, alien beggar. Don't sleep here again. Liara never spoke. Back, she only moved to another street, another cold place. She never knocked, never begged. But inside, every night, a small voice whispered, "Please, just one door, just one person, just one night." One evening, as snow started to fall, Liara walked slowly through the colony's East District. Her legs were weak. She had not eaten. In 2 days, her boots were broken. Her hands were shaking. She passed glowing windows, people laughing inside, children playing. A woman sang a lullaby to her baby. Liara smiled at the sound, but it also made her chest ache. That kind of peace wasn't for her. She found a house with a large stone step. No lights inside, no sound. Looked empty. She curled up against the door and closed her eyes. But this time, the door opened. Warm yellow light hit her face. She blinked quickly and backed away, afraid. A tall man stood in the doorway, holding a warm mug of something that smelled like cinnamon. He had tired eyes, a short beard, and a long brown coat. His face didn't look angry. Just surprised? He looked at her for a few seconds, then stepped outside. Liara scrambled to stand. "I'll go," she said quickly, her voice rough from cold. "I didn't mean to stop," the man said gently. "You're freezing." "I'm fine, you're shaking." She looked away. He held out the mug. Tea. She stared at him like he was speaking another language. "I don't have money," she said. "I didn't ask for any." She didn't take the cup. He looked at her again, this time longer. "You've been sleeping outside for weeks, haven't you?" She hesitated. "Yes," he nodded. "Do you want to come in?" Liara stepped back. "Why?" He smiled a little. "Gateta. Because no one should sleep where no one looks." Inside the house it was warm. The lights were soft. Blair smelled like old books and food. A fire crackled in the corner. Liara stood near the door. Unsure, the man walked to the kitchen, set down the mug, and brought her a blanket. She didn't take it at first. Then slowly, carefully, she did. He motioned to the couch. "Sit, if you want." Liara sat. Her hands held the blanket tightly like it might vanish. After a few minutes of silence, the man sat across from her and said, "I'm Micah." She nodded once. "Liara." "Nice to meet you, Liara." She looked around. "This your home?" "For now," he said. "I used to move a lot. Soldier work." Her eyes flickered. "You're military?" "Was not anymore." She looked. Downey noticed. "I'm not going to turn you in," he said softly. Liara didn't answer, but her hands loosened a little around the blanket. Micah stood and went to the kitchen again. He brought a small plate with bread and some soup. She stared at it. "It's okay," he said. "It's not poisoned." She took the bread first, then the soup. She ate slowly, like someone who was used to being watched or punished for eating. Micah didn't ask questions. He didn't push. He just sat nearby, sipping tea, watching the fire. Finally, Liara whispered, "Why did you open the door?" He looked at her. "I don't know. Maybe I was tired of pretending not to hear." Footsteps outside every night. She blinked. "You saw me before?" "Twice." Didn't say anything. Felt like a coward. Liara looked at the fire. "You're not?" That night, she slept on the couch. Micah gave her another blanket and left a light. On in the hallway, she didn't say thank you. But when she closed her eyes, she slept deeper than she had in months, and outside, snow kept falling. But for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel like part of it. She felt inside, even if it was just for one night. Asterisk, the next morning. The light came in soft through the window. Liara woke up slowly, her body warm for the first time in many days. She stayed still for a while, just staring at the ceiling.
Ow.
Her ears twitched, but there were no loud sounds, no boots, no alarms.
Ow.
Only the quiet crackling of the fire and something that smelled like eggs and bread. She sat up carefully. Her silver hair fell over her shoulders in messy waves. She wasn't used to sleeping in peace. Micah stood near the stove, flipping something in a pan. He looked over and smiled. You snore, Liara blinked. No, I don't. You do. She gave a small smile, then pulled the blanket around her shoulders. Micah placed a plate on the table. Eat before it gets cold. She looked at the food. Warm bread, scrambled eggs, and a cup of tea. No one's ever made breakfast for me, she said quietly. Micah pulled out a chair. Then it's about time. They ate in silence at first. Liara used small bites, chewing carefully. Her hands still trembled, but not from cold, from habit. Micah watched without staring. You don't have to rush, he said. I'm not used to eating like this, she said. Like what? Without being watched or timed, he nodded slowly. That says a lot. She looked up. What do you want from me? Micah leaned back in his chair. Nothing. Everyone wants something. Not everyone. Liara studied him for a long second, then asked, Why do you live alone? Micah gave a half smile. That's a longer story than breakfast can hold. After they ate, Micah gave her clean clothes, simple, warm, worn but soft. She changed in the small bathroom and returned with her old clothes folded in her hands. Keep them, Micah said. You'll need extras. She paused. You think I'm staying? He shrugged. If you want to, door's still open. Liara looked at him, unsure what to say. No one had ever left a door open for her. Outside, snow was melting. The colony. Streets were waking up, hover bikes flying, market stalls opening, patrol drones passing overhead. Liara stayed near the window. Watching it all, Micah joined her, holding 2 mugs of tea. She asked, Do the patrols ever come here? Not often, he said. They don't like how quiet it is. She sipped her tea. They like places where people stay afraid. Micah didn't answer. He just looked at her and said, You talk like someone who knows what fear tastes like. She nodded. I do. He waited. She didn't speak more. That evening, they sat by the fire again. Micah read an old paper book. Liara stared at the flames. Suddenly she whispered, I wasn't always outside. Micah looked up. No. I was raised indoors, in a lab. Clean walls, cold lights, voices behind glass. I put the book down. They said I was special. A bridge between species, built to learn human behavior. To understand you, she wrapped the blanket tighter. But understanding turned into feeling. And feelings turned into questions. Her voice dropped, and questions got me punished. Micah didn't move. He didn't interrupt. They said I was defective. Emotional. Dangerous. She blinked. So they let me go. Not kindly, they threw me out. I was a failed test. Micah's voice was calm. How long have you been on your own? Since my 16th cycle. 3 years. He leaned forward. You're 2019. Micah's jaw tightened, but he didn't speak right away. You're just a kid, he finally said. Liara gave a small laugh. That's not what the streets taught me. Later, as the fire dimmed, she stood to leave. I should go, she said. Micah frowned. Why? They'll come looking. You'll get in trouble. He stood too. Let them come. Liara looked confused. Micah walked to the door and opened it. Cold wind blew in. Then he closed it again. See? It still works. You're not locked in. But you're not being thrown out either. She stared at him. He added, I have no orders. There's no flag. No reason to give you up. You're not a project to me. What am I then? Micah smiled. You're just someone who deserves a place to rest. That night, she didn't sleep on the couch. Micah had set up a guest room, old sheets, a small lamp, and a plant in the corner. She stood in the doorway for a long time, staring at the bed. Then, slowly, she stepped in, lay down, and whispered, into the pillow. Thank you. What? Micah didn't hear it, but maybe he didn't need to, because the fire was still burning. And outside, for the first time in years, no door closed behind her. Snow had melted. The streets were dry. Life in the colony looked normal again, but Liara knew better. Peace was never real. It was just silence before someone came knocking. That knock came 3 days after she moved into Mika's home. It was early morning. Micah was in the shed fixing a broken solar panel. Liara was inside folding the blanket on the couch. She didn't use it anymore, but she couldn't stop touching it. Still soft, still warm, still real. Then came the sound. 3 knocks. Sharp, cold, final. She froze. Knocks like that didn't belong to friends. Micah opened the door. 2 government enforcers stood on the porch. Full armor, dark visors, colony badges. Their weapons weren't drawn, but their hands rested close to them. Routine search, one said. Refugee check. Micah narrowed his eyes. For what? There was a report, the second officer replied, alien female. Seen sleeping around the district. Unauthorized, possibly hostile. Micah didn't blink. No one like that here. The first officer's helmet scanned the room behind him. We'll take a look. Micah stepped aside slowly. Be my guest. Liara had hidden before he opened the door. She knew where to go, an old storage space under the floorboards near the back wall. Micah had shown it to her just in case. She crouched low, heart pounding, hand pressed to her chest to quiet it. Through a crack in the boards. She watched the boots move through the room, closer, closer. One stopped right above her. The officer looked around. Place smells. Lived in? Anyone else live here? It's just me, Micah answered. You sure would I lie to the government? Pause. Then footsteps moved away. The officers finished their scan. It's no alert, no match. Before they left, one of them turned back. If you see her, don't play hero. These things aren't people. They're prototypes. Machines in skin. Micah didn't answer. The door closed behind them. 10 minutes passed before he opened the floorboards. Liara climbed out slowly. Her face was pale, her hand shaking. I'm sorry, she whispered. They came because of me. Micah handed her water. They didn't find you, but they will. Then we'll be ready. She looked at him, confused. Why do you keep helping me? He stared at her, his voice low. Because I've seen what happens when good people do nothing. Later that night, Micah was silent. He sat near the fire, sharpening a blade. Not for cooking, not for hunting. A real weapon? Liara sat across from him, knees hugged to her chest. They knew what I was. She whispered. Micah looked up. They said prototype. That's not something you say by accident. Micah nodded slowly. I worked on old cum lines in the war, he said. I heard things I wasn't supposed to. Rumors about labs where they mixed DNA, built spies, emotional mimics. Some human officers even supported it. He leaned forward, but I never believed it. Until I saw you. Liara didn't speak. He continued. You're not a weapon to me. You're a girl who was used. It makes you a survivor. That night, Liara didn't sleep right away. She stood at the window, watching the sky. Drones buzzed far above, scanning rooftops. I shouldn't be here, she whispered to herself. I'm a risk. I'm a shadow. From behind, Micah spoke. Gently, you're not a shadow if someone sees you. She turned around, her eyes shining. You still see me? He nodded, even when they don't. The next morning, Liara woke up before the sun. She didn't find Micah in the kitchen. She found him outside digging, a small storage space near the back fence. Hidden from sky scanners, lined with supplies, she stood beside him. "What are you doing?" "Building our second option," he said, "in case we need to vanish fast." She frowned. "You don't have to run with me." "Yes, I do." Inside the colony's central tower, an encrypted file blinked on a high-security screen. Unconfirmed. Project Eco 7, subject. Possibly sighted in Sector East. The officer reading the report didn't hesitate. "Send a recovery team." Back at the house, Liara sat near the fire again. But something had changed. She wasn't just a guest now. She wasn't just hiding. She was part of something. Micah handed her a toolkit. "What's this?" "We're upgrading the back shed. Cameras, alarms, heat masks." She smiled faintly. "You trust me to help?" He looked her in the eye. "I trust you to fight." And deep in her chest, something warm began to return. Not fear. Not hope. Belonging. Asterisk, the wind outside was still. But Liara felt the storm inside her chest. She sat by the window, watching a lone figure walk slowly down the path toward the house. Not a patrol, not a soldier. Someone. Too calm, too familiar, her body stiffened. Micah stepped in from the kitchen. "What is it?" She didn't answer right away. The man outside was human, older. Clean face, long black coat, polished boots. But Liara knew that stance. Knew the way he walked, straight-backed, knew the face behind that calm smile. Commander Wren. Micah looked at her. "You know him?" Liara nodded slowly. "He helped raise me, trained me, tested me, lied to me." Then her voice went cold. "He doesn't come to visit. He comes to collect." Micah stepped outside and closed the door behind him. Wren smiled politely. "Hello. I'm looking for someone. Young woman. Violet skin. White hair. Gentle nature. Might have passed through here recently." Micah crossed his arms. "Can't say I've seen her." Wren chuckled. "You always were a bad liar, Sergeant." Micah's eyes narrowed. "You know me?" "I know your record. Decorated 3 times. Refused promotion twice. Then left the army suddenly after that border mission." Micah said nothing. Wren stepped closer. "We're not here to punish anyone," he said softly. "We just want to bring a lost asset home." Micah tilted his head. "You call her an asset?" "She's not what you think." "And what do you think she is?" Wren smiled, calm as ever. "A project, not your problem." Micah's jaw clenched. "She's not a project. She's a person. That's where you're wrong." Wren's voice stayed calm, but his eyes were sharp now. "She was made in a lab, Micah. Built from alien DNA and human design. Trained to blend in, to copy feelings, to spy without anyone noticing. She was never meant to feel. She does." Wren's voice dropped. "Then she's broken." Micah's hand moved toward his belt, toward the weapon holstered underneath his coat. "Leave." Wren didn't move. "Think carefully, soldier. This is bigger than you." Micah took a step forward. "I am thinking." Wren stared at him for one long moment. Then he turned calmly and walked away. Inside the house, Liara stood frozen. She had heard every word. Micah came in slowly. She didn't look at him, so she said, her voice flat, "That's what I." He stood still. "No, that's what they think you are." "Micah, I was trained to feel emotions just enough to fool people. I don't even know which parts of me are real." He stepped closer. "You don't have to prove anything to me." She turned to him suddenly. "I don't know if I love music because I love it or because someone programmed me to. I don't know if my favorite color is blue because I saw it on a screen 1,000 times. I don't even know if I feel safe with you, or if I was trained to copy comfort." Micah didn't flinch. He listened, and then said simply, "You're scared. That part's real." Liara blinked. "How do you know?" He pointed to her chest. "'Cause I feel it here, too." Later that night, Liara sat outside on the porch. Micah brought her tea, and sat beside her, quiet. She whispered, "You should have let them take me." He sipped the tea. "No, they'll come back. Let them." She looked at him. You think you can stop them? Looked out at the dark trees. Not planning to stop them, she frowned. Then what? I'm planning to make them afraid of what you've become. The next morning, Mika showed her something hidden under the floor. An old transmitter, off-grid, used only during deep missions. He brushed off dust and started typing. What are you doing? Liara asked. Sending a message to an old contact. If Rin's here, others will follow. She hesitated. You're going to get more people involved? Mika didn't stop typing. You're worth it. Far away, in a secret rebel channel, a ping appeared. Mika's code, and the message, Project Eco 7 is alive. She's waking up. Back in the colony, Ren entered a hidden comms room beneath a market stall. He opened a secure file. Subject, ECHO7. Located, human hostel. Prepare full recovery team. He smiled. This time, whispered, she won't run far. But she wasn't running anymore. She was waiting, and inside her chest. Behind the fear, behind the confusion, something else was growing: anger. The next night, the forest around Micah's house was too quiet. Even the wind felt like it was holding its breath. Liara stood by the window again. Same spot, same view, but something inside her had changed. She wasn't watching to run. She was watching to see them coming. Micah loaded the last charge into his old rifle. It clicked into place with a sound that felt both familiar and final. He looked over his shoulder. They're late. They'll come when it's dark enough, Liara said. They always do. He nodded. You don't have to fight. No. Still going to? Yes. Micah smiled, just a little. Didn't doubt it. 20 minutes later, the first light blinked in the trees, a soft red dot moving through branches. Like a slow insect, Micah raised his scope and saw it. Helmet, visor, government sigil, then another, then 5. All silent, all armed, moving in a half circle around the house. Liara looked at him. They're not here to ask questions. No, Micah said. They're here to take you back. Liara moved to the back door. Her hands were steady, but her heart raced. Micah pressed a small device into her palm, a cold, smooth cube, EMP mine, short range. If they use drones, toss it and run. I'm not running, I know. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. You ready? She looked up, not even a little. The first shot didn't come from them. It came from Ren. He stood out in the open, bold, confident, holding a sleek sidearm and wearing no helmet. His eyes glowed from a retinal scanner. He wasn't hiding. He raised his voice. Liara, let's not make this messy. She stepped out the door before Micah could stop her. Ren smiled. There you are. You shouldn't be here, she said. I built you. I own you. I go where I want. No, she said. You don't own me. Behind her, Mika moved silently into the shadows, rifle raised, scanning the tree line. Ren took a slow step forward. Let's not play rebel now, Liara. You're not a fighter. You're a copy. A sketch of feelings. You don't even know what real means. Liara looked down, then up again, her voice firmer. Maybe I was made, but I became something. You became broken. I became free. Ren. Sidon snapped his fingers. From the trees, 4 soldiers emerged, all armed, all pointing at her. Micah was in position, finger on the trigger. But Liara raised her hand. Not yet. She took one more step forward. If I come back with you, what happens? Ren smiled again. We study. We correct your defects. We find what went wrong. You'll be better next time. She paused. Will I remember anything? No. Her face stayed calm. Her voice didn't. Then I'm not going anywhere. She dropped the cube in her hand. The EMP detonated. A pulse of blue light exploded outward. Drones in the trees blinked out. Visors flashed static. Weapons shut down for 2 seconds. 2 seconds was enough. Micah fired first. 1 soldier fell. Spun, grabbing a branch from the ground and smashing it across another's helmet. Micah moved fast, years of training in every step, diving between trees, drawing fire away from the house. Liara fought close. No gun, no armor. Just memory. She knew every move they used, because they were taught to her in that same facility. One soldier grabbed her wrist. She twisted, dropped, kicked. He fell hard. Another raised a stun baton. Micah shot him mid-strike. Then there was only Ren, standing still, calm, unshaken. He didn't raise a weapon. He just looked at Liara. "I gave you everything," he said. "No," she replied. "You gave me nothing." "He gave me everything, and he didn't build me. He saw me." She raised the dropped stun baton and walked toward him. "I'm not going back. You were meant for more. I chose different." He didn't move. Liara stood in arms, length away. Then she did something no one expected. She dropped the baton and turned away. "I don't have to destroy you," she said. "I just have to walk past you." And she did. Micah met her near the tree line, bruised, bloody, breathing hard. "Is it done?" he asked. Liara nodded. "He won't follow." They walked together, back toward the house. The quiet broken, only by snow crunching under their boots. The fire inside was still burning. The door was still open. This time, it hadn't been a place to hide. It had been a place to stand and fight. Asterisk. The forest was burning, not with flames, not yet, but with heat from engines and static from the wreckage. The last drone that followed them lay cracked open in the snow. Its blinking red, I dimmed to black. Liara stood over it, chest rising fast, breath turning to fog. "Is it dead?" Micah asked, gripping his rifle. "No," she said, stepping back. "But it can't see anymore." It had been 2 days since they ran. It was 2 days since Ren's voice last echoed in the trees. 2 days since Liara made the choice not to destroy him, but to walk away. She thought it would be the end. It wasn't now. They were in the high ridge country, north of the colony, where combs didn't work and snow covered everything. Like silence. Micah had led them to an abandoned outpost he used years ago during a recon mission. Cracked walls, broken sensors, a collapsed roof. It wasn't much, but it was hidden. And for now, that was enough. Inside, the fire crackled weakly. They sat close, sharing a single thermal blanket. Liara leaned back against the wall, closing her eyes for a moment. "You didn't have to come with me," she said. Micah didn't look at her. "I know." She opened her eyes again. "Then why did you?" He turned to face her. "Because you didn't ask me to." She frowned. "Everyone else always told you what you were," he said. "You never told anyone what you wanted." Liara was quiet. "I just wanted to be real," she whispered. "Not useful, not tested, just real." Micah looked at her, serious. "Then that's what you are now." The next day, they walked the ridge to scan for signals. None came. But in the distance, they saw smoke. Black, thick, rising from the direction of the colony. Liara squinted. "They're burning something." Stared for a long moment. "They're covering tracks. You think Ren's still there? He's not the kind who gives up?" Liara said nothing. Micah added, "He's not after you anymore. It's after the story." She turned to him. "If he kills me, the truth dies with me." Micah nodded. "Exactly." That night she couldn't sleep, not from fear, but from something else. Her thoughts ran wild. Not about labs or codes or commands, but about belonging. About the way Micah listened to her without asking for anything, about how he never once tried to fix her, only stand beside her. She got up quietly, walked outside, and stared at the stars. Micah followed a few minutes later, wrapping a jacket around her shoulders. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded, just thinking. "About what?" She turned to him slowly. "I used to wonder, if someone found me on the street, would they see a person or just a strange face? And what do you think now?" She took a long breath. "I think you saw me, even when I didn't know who I was." Micah didn't speak for a while. Then he said softly, "You still don't have to be anything for anyone." She looked at him. but I want to be something to someone. Micah's eyes met hers. You already are. Later. By the fire, she sat close beside him, not because of cold, but because of trust. And in that quiet moment, she rested her head on his shoulder. Micah didn't move. He just let her stay there. The next morning, Liara picked up the rifle. Micah raised a brow. Going somewhere? She nodded. He said I didn't have to fight. I meant it. She smiled. I know, but I want to. He stood slowly. Then I'm coming with you. They weren't going back to the colony. They were going past it to the inner bunker where Project Echo files were still stored. If they destroyed the data, no one could rebuild her. No one could make more like her. She could finally stop being a ghost with a barcode and just be Leah Ra by nightfall. They reached the edge of the ridge and stared down at the bunker's faint glow in the valley below. Micah checked his rifle. Liara checked the EMP grenades. You ready? He asked. She nodded. For the first time, yes. Back at the bunker, Ren opened a tablet. It buzzed softly. Alert. Unauthorized signal approaching to heat SOURCE. Smiled. She's coming back, the soldier beside him asked. What do we do, sir? Ren stood. We welcome her home. This time she wasn't alone. And this time she wasn't walking to be taken. She was walking to end it. The night air was colder than before. Snow crunched under their boots as Liara and Mika stood at the edge of the valley. Below them, the old government bunker glowed like a heartbeat under ice. Silent, hidden. Watching Lee, Ross stared at it without blinking. That's where they stored everything, Micah asked. She nodded. My voice, my face, my thoughts, all locked inside their machines. He tightened the strap on his rifle. Let's burn it. They moved down the hill fast and quiet. No lights, no speaking, just hand signs and breath. When they reached the service tunnel, Liara placed her hand on the scanner. It still worked. Of course it did. They never expected her to return. The door opened with a soft hiss. Warm air hit their faces, artificial and stale. They stepped inside. The hallway was gray and narrow, lined with wires and smooth glass panels. Memories flooded Liara's mind, flashes, white rooms, doctors behind walls, her own voice repeating. Phrases on command? Micah watched her carefully. Want to stop? She shook her head. I want to finish.
Ow!
They reached the central chamber. A giant server core stood in the center, glowing blue, humming quietly like a sleeping monster. Liara stepped closer. Her reflection looked back from the metal surface. She whispered, They called this the brain. Said it remembered better than I ever could.
Yeah.
Micah pulled out a data spike and held it toward her. You sure? She took it slowly. I'm not here to erase myself, she said. I'm here to erase their version of me. She plugged in the spike. The lights flickered. Soft hum turned into a static growl. Screens blinked. Accessing Project ECH07 ARCHIV photos appeared. Old footage, notes from engineers, tests, graphs, voice recordings, and then her face, projected large on the screen. Young, blank, staring. A recorded voice spoke. Subject Eco7 shows elevated empathy. Recommend memory reset. Another clip. Caution. Subject developing attachment patterns. Terminate trial if instability increases. Liara's hands balled into fists. They never wanted me to feel anything. Just wanted me to look like I could. Micah looked at her. You feel more than most people I know. She didn't answer. She just pressed delete. The system hesitated. A warning popped up. This will permanently destroy Project Echo-7, Micah. Looked at her. She stared at the screen and whispered, Good. She confirmed the deletion. The lights blinked. Files collapsed. Folders vanished. Audio melted into silence. For the first time, Building forgot her name. But the system wasn't going down without a fight. Red lights flashed. An alarm screamed through the halls. Micah cursed. They had a trigger. Data wipe alerts them. Footsteps echoed from above. Heavy, multiple. We have to move, he said. Liara turned and ran with him through the maintenance tunnel at the exit. Ren stood waiting, alone. No guards this time. No armor, no weapon in hand. Just him in cold disappointment. "You think erasing some files changes what you are?" he said. Liara stepped in front of Micah. "No," she replied. "I changed that myself," Ren scoffed. "You're a blueprint. Got a lab mistake that learned to talk." She took one step forward, and still, "I have more humanity than you." He pulled a gun from his coat. Mika raised his rifle. They stood in silence. No one moved. Then Liara said softly, "You made me. But he gave me a choice." What? Ren narrowed his eyes. "And what choice is that?" Liara raised her voice. "To live free. To stop being your experiment. To become a door. For others like me." And she pulled the EMP grenade from her belt. Micah's eyes widened. "It won't kill him," she said, "but it'll end his control." She tossed the grenade. It hit the ground. Boom. The blast of light shut Ren's visor, fried his scanner, and knocked him off his feet. Micah grabbed her hand. "Let's go." They ran into the trees. The snow took them in. Behind them, the facility lights dimmed. One by one, like dying stars. Days later, a ship lifted from the far side of the planet. Slow, steady. Carrying 2 passengers, no one chased it. No one could anymore. They had buried the past in snow and silence. Weeks later, on a small moon near the outer rim, a door opened. A young alien girl, scared and thin, stood outside a small shelter. Looked ready to run. Liara opened the door, smiled softly, and said the words she had waited her whole life to hear. "You don't have to sleep outside anymore." Because the door that opened for her was never meant to be closed again.